Have you ever heard of a king who wasn't a man? Ancient Egypt was full of powerful pharaohs, but one stands out, not just for her ambition, but for her audacity. This is the story of Hatshepsut, the woman who ruled as a king. Picture this. Egypt, nearly 3,500 years ago. A powerful pharaoh, Thutmose I, has no living sons by his principal wife. His heir is a son from a lesser wife, but to legitimize his claim, this young man, Thutmose II, must marry his half-sister, the royal princess Hatshepsut. This marriage placed her at the very center of power. As queen, she was not just a wife, she was a divine conduit, the god's wife of Amun, a title carrying immense religious and political weight. Sadly, Thutmose II's reign was short. He died young, leaving behind only one daughter with Hatshepsut and a very young son, Thutmose III, by another wife. According to tradition, this infant boy was the rightful heir. And Hatshepsut? She was expected to step aside and serve as regent, managing the kingdom only until her stepson came of age. For a while, that's exactly what she did. For the first few years of Thutmose III's reign, Queen Hatshepsut governed Egypt in his name, proving herself to be a capable and effective leader. But Hatshepsut was no ordinary woman. She was born of kings, steeped in the traditions of power, and she clearly believed she was destined for more than just being a placeholder. In a move that would have shocked the ancient world, around the 7th year of her regency, Hatshepsut did the unthinkable. She declared herself pharaoh, not queen, not regent, but a full-fledged king of Upper and Lower Egypt. How could she possibly justify such a radical break with tradition? Hatshepsut was a master of propaganda. She orchestrated a brilliant campaign to legitimize her rule. She claimed she was the chosen daughter of the chief god, Amun-Ra. Temple walls were carved with a divine birth story, depicting Amun-Ra himself visiting her mother, disguised as her father, to conceive a divine heir, her. She wasn't just a ruler by marriage or circumstance. She was a ruler by divine right. To solidify this claim, she adopted all the trappings of a male pharaoh. She took on the full royal titulary, the 5 sacred names of a king. In statues and reliefs, she was depicted with the body of a man, broad shoulders, a muscular physique, and even the traditional false beard worn by pharaohs. She wore the king's kilt and the iconic crowns of Egypt. She wasn't pretending to be a man. She was presenting an image of the office of the pharaoh, an office that, until her, had always been male. She was demonstrating that the role of king was a divine concept, one that she, a woman, could embody just as completely as any man. So what kind of ruler was she? Forget what you might think about a woman's rule being soft. Hatshepsut's reign was a period of incredible peace, prosperity, and architectural innovation. Instead of waging costly wars, she focused on rebuilding Egypt's economy and infrastructure. She re-established trade networks that had been disrupted, most famously launching a legendary expedition to the mysterious land of Punt, a place we think was likely in modern-day Eritrea or Somalia. Imagine the sight. A fleet of massive ships sailing down the Red Sea, returning not with spoils of war, but with incredible riches. They brought back gold, ivory, exotic animals, and most importantly, live myrrh trees. These were planted in the courtyards of her masterpiece, her mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahri. These were the first successful tree transplantations in recorded history. This expedition wasn't just about wealth. It was a PR masterpiece, showcasing Egypt's power and influence, not through conquest, but through exploration and trade. And speaking of Deir el-Bahri, if you ever want to see Hatshepsut's ambition carved in stone, this is the place. Nestled against the cliffs of Thebes, this temple, which she called Djeser-Djeseru, or Holiest of Holies, is one of the most stunning architectural marvels of the ancient world. With its sweeping colonnades and ascending terraces, it looks almost modern. Its walls are a stone biography, telling the story of her divine birth, her coronation, and her glorious expedition to Punt. It was a monument designed to ensure her legacy would last for eternity. For over 2 decades, Hatshepsut ruled a thriving Egypt. She commissioned hundreds of building projects, from towering obelisks at the Karnak Temple to countless smaller shrines. She was a prolific builder, arguably one of the greatest in Egypt's long history. Her reign was a golden age, an era of stability and artistic flourishing. But what happened to the young boy, Thutmose III, while all this was going on? He wasn't imprisoned or cast aside. He was raised in the court, given a military education, and eventually became the head of Egypt's armies. In the latter years of Hatshepsut's reign, he even appears as her co-ruler in some inscriptions, suggesting a gradual transition of power. He was waiting in the wings. Around her 22nd year as pharaoh, Hatshepsut disappears from the historical record. We believe she died of natural causes. Recent analysis of her mummy suggests she may have had diabetes and bone cancer. After her death, Thutmose III finally took his rightful place as the sole ruler of Egypt. And what he did next has puzzled historians for centuries. About 20 years into his own very successful reign, Thutmose III began a systematic campaign to erase Hatshepsut from history. Her statues were smashed, her name and image were chiseled off temple walls, and her obelisks were walled up. Cartouches bearing her name were replaced with those of her father, her husband, or Thutmose III himself. Why? Was it revenge? Was he a jealous stepson finally getting back at the woman who took his throne? The popular theory used to be that it was an act of pure vengeance. But many Egyptologists now have a different interpretation. It may not have been personal. Thutmose III, a great military pharaoh himself, may have feared that Hatshepsut's successful reign would set a dangerous precedent. He might have worried that other ambitious royal women would try to seize power, disrupting the traditional stable line of male succession. By erasing the memory of a female king, he wasn't erasing the woman. He was correcting what he saw as a disruption to the cosmic order, ensuring that the pharaoh would and always should be a man. For thousands of years, his plan worked. Hatshepsut was largely forgotten, a lost king in the sands of time. It wasn't until the 19th century that archaeologists began to piece together her incredible story, deciphering the clues left behind and uncovering the truth of the pharaoh who was a woman. Hatshepsut's story is more than just a historical curiosity. It's a testament to ambition, cleverness, and the will to power. She defied every convention of her time to rule one of the greatest civilizations in history, and she did it successfully, ushering in an era of peace and prosperity. She proved that leadership is not about gender, but about vision and capability. The woman they tried to erase has become one of history's most unforgettable rulers. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey back to ancient Egypt. If you enjoyed learning about the incredible life of Hatshepsut, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories from history. Let me know in the comments which historical figure you'd like to explore next. See you in the next video.